tonight on VCU InSight.
A VCU student receives more than $100,000 to fight breast cancer and is making big strides with his research.
A local synchronized swimming team is searching for deeper waters to practice in after a dispute with a Richmond pool.
And a Camel in the student commons gives students and faculty a chance to learn about VCU's Qatar campus.
All this and more.
VCU InSight starts right now.
From the Richard T. Robertson School of Media and Culture at Virginia Commonwealth University, named Best Student Newscast in the Mid-Atlantic, this is VCU InSight.
Good evening, and welcome to VCU InSight. I'm Brian Coles.
And I'm Michelle Green. Thanks for joining us. Topping the news tonight, big strides in cancer research right here in Richmond. It's not every day that a student takes a spotlight, but VCU's Jeremy Myers is doing just that. Myers is currently doing cancer research that only one or two other labs in the world are pursuing. InSight's Ember Kassler is in our newsroom with the story. Good evening, Ember.
Good evening, Michelle. VCU's Massey Cancer Center is well known for its research, and with students like Meyer, it can continue to tackle the complexity of cancer.
Jeremy Meyer, an MD PhD student at VCU, is gearing up to solve cancer resistance, and after a number of tries, Meyer recently received a grant totaling $123,000 to help with his research. Meyer is researching with the help of VCU biochemistry professor Dr. Andrew Larner. Dr. Larner's lab has been researching the changes in cells from normal to cancerous for roughly a decade.
So during the course of my rotations, I was very fortunate to have rotated through Dr. Larner's lab and first got me interested in this kind of field of looking at proteins that have novel functions outside of their usual arena studied.
Their focus has been on breast cancer, but some of their data suggests the information they're uncovering could be important to unraveling the mystery of other conditions such as ovarian cancer.
This is an example of cells before and after cancer. Lots of changes occur, and it's up to Meyer to figure out what some of those are.
Dr. Larner thinks Meyer's recent experiments are making big strides in unraveling the mystery of cancer's biology and how certain pathways lead to resistant cancers.
Well, we think we have a new pathway that regulates cell growth and the ability of cells to be transformed and become cancerous.
The grant is a 3-year grant, and Meyer hopes to make big progress during that time. Back to you, Michelle.
Thanks, Ember.
Over 200 pairs of boots were put on display in Monroe Park on October 1st. They were part of the Cost of War exhibit held by the Richmond Peace Education Center to symbolize U.S. servicemen and women from Virginia. Iraqi and Afghan civilians who have lost their lives in those conflicts were represented in the exhibit as well, with some of the victims being only 9 months old. Some of the booths displayed small memorabilia like teddy bears and flowers that the families of the victims had added.
A respiratory virus that's sickening children across the country has landed here in Virginia. 7 children were confirmed to have the Enterovirus in Richmond, and a lot of parents are concerned.
Hey buddy, how you doing today? Good. You feel like you're having any trouble breathing?
Yeah. Here at Kid Med, pediatrician Dr. Jeff Bennett conducts respiratory exams on young children to check for the new problem in town, the Enterovirus D68.
And that's a virus that's not very frequently found in this part of the country, and that's just all of a sudden popped up and causing problems for lots of people, mostly kids. Fantastic.
Dr. Bennett says that there is a greater concern for kids who already have asthma contracting the virus because it can hit them harder. The United States Centers for Disease and Control Prevention estimates that there are 10 to 15 million virus infections each year here in the United States. But the main concern is how contagious the virus actually is. In the waiting room for her daughter Nyla's checkup, Jasmine Lewis is worried about the recent spread of the virus.
My concerns are how fastly the virus is spreading. You always know somebody that ends up getting it.
With all the media attention that the Enterovirus has been receiving lately, parents are starting to question, does my child have this, and how can they prevent their child from contracting the virus? The answer to those questions is going to your local doctor and staying clean.
It's really good hand washing. It's really the same things that prevent you from getting the common cold are the same things that prevent Enterovirus D68.
The symptoms are similar to cold or flu, so doctors say if you're concerned, see your pediatrician immediately.
You wouldn't expect theater and business to have much in common, but you might be surprised at the link. The VCU School of Business has just added a course called Winning Presentations that has both. InSight's Forrest Nguyen is in the studio with a special guest to tell us more.
I'm in the studio with Marisa Guida, professor of the Winning Presentations course. Marisa, thanks for being here.
Hi, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Hi. So this class, this Winning Presentations class, it's 16 people. You're a theater teacher. It's 16 business kids. What is it? What is this class?
Well, this class was developed by the chair and co-chair of the theater department, David Leong and Aaron Anderson. And the business school was looking for a solution to teach their students how to give dynamic presentations. And that is, in the theater, that's what we do. And so David and Aaron were able to develop this course specifically for the business school. And it's not your typical speech class. We teach them how to engage an audience and tell a story dynamically and to sell their message or their main points.
Okay, so we have a little bit of the video of your class. These kids are kind of just like jumping up and down, doing these weird like jumping jacks motions right there.
Right, getting the blood flowing.
What is this doing for them? Is it helping?
It is, because you know, we feel nervous before we have to do something really important like present. And this, what we're doing right here, we're getting the blood flowing and warming up our bodies and getting those nerves out of the way a little bit. And some of the exercises also, when we're swinging the arms around, get the brain working, the left side talking to the right side, so that we're fired up and we're ready to go.
So how do all these like theater techniques translate into the business world?
Well, as performers, we train in the body and in the voice. And so we translate that to the business students. They're not maybe used to using their bodies and their voices to tell a story. And so we want to help them feel more comfortable in their bodies and utilize their voices to sell their point, or their, I don't want to say sell, to get across their big message or their main ideas. And so being vocally expressive and finding all the pitches in your voice and using them to engage your audience and help the audience follow along on your story or your journey.
Now, I remember during their presentations, a lot of them walked around the room using their hands. Is that a theater technique? Did you teach them that?
Yeah, I did. Because some of them, you know, everybody's in a different place, but we like to use our space, whatever it may be. So if they have a classroom before them, or if they have a whole stage, well, let's use it. We don't need to stand in one place, you know, all bottled up. We want to use the whole space and use our body to, like I said, express the story.
Okay, so very quickly, have you had any feedback from any of the students?
I have. They've been utilizing the skills that we're teaching them, not only in the classroom and in other classrooms, but outside in life. So, you know, just the idea of walking with an openness and when they're talking to people, listening and responding with sincerity. And I've heard that they didn't know, you know, the feedback that we give in class. Sometimes you don't know the things that you do. You don't see yourself or you don't hear yourself. Right. So making them aware of what they're doing has been a huge help to a lot of the students.
Okay, well, thank you for being here. I've been speaking with Professor Marisa Guida about her Winning Presentations class here at VCU. Professor, it was nice talking to you.
Thank you. Nice talking to you.
Thanks, Forrest. Now, how do you swim without water? Now, a local synchronized swimming team is currently having no pool to call its own. InSight's Will Gilbert's in the studio right now. Good evening, Will.
Good evening, Brian. The River City Magnolias feel like fish out of water since a contract dispute made them leave the downtown YMCA pool. The River City Magnolias formed a little over a year ago and haven't had a problem staying afloat until now. In August, the downtown branch of the YMCA sent a notice to the Magnolias, telling the synchronized swimming team it would need to find a new facility to practice within 30 days.
I know when the managers met with them, it seemed like everything, they were happy to have us there and everything was going fine and we were going to be able to work it out. And so that was the thing, the email was kind of a surprise.
Co-managers Ingrid Schatz and Tate Sanchez say before they received the notice, negotiations were in the works to modify the contract regarding practice times and space, but there was no indication from the Y that the contract would end early. According to the Magnolias, the contract was signed in late March and was supposed to last a year. A spokeswoman for the downtown YMCA, Charlotte Dean, says it was clear during negotiations that the Y did not have the space to host the Magnolias.
It was getting too cramped. So the Y really wanted to work with everyone, make it safe, make it comfortable for everyone involved. Unfortunately, an agreement could not be met.
The Bellmead Pool, where the River City Magnolias have been swimming, is fine for practice, but it's not ideal. The water here is only 5 feet deep, whereas at the YMCA, it was 10.
There's a lot of upside down, underwater, vertical positions in synchronized swimming where you go pretty deep. So like here, if you do an upside down position, you know, you're going to hit your head. You essentially can do a handstand, whereas to really learn how to do them, you need to go deeper than that.
The Magnolias say they don't need too much space. What's important to them is finding a pool deep enough to work. The group has already looked into the possibility of a few different Richmond City pools, but nothing has been finalized. Back to you, Brian.
Thank you, Will.
A new online petition is asking Richmond City leaders to direct more funding toward bird park maintenance. The petition is Change.org says that all 3 lakes in the park are in very bad condition and asks for money to help maintain the upkeep of the lakes. So far, more than 100 people have signed it. Visitors are hoping that the goal will be met so improvements can be made to the lakes and the rest of the park.
There's a new plan going on through the city of Richmond to make Floyd Avenue a bicycle boulevard, a first for the city of Richmond. InSight's Camel has more on the story and what's going to happen.
Adam Francis prefers Floyd Avenue to get to work for one reason: it's a serene ride.
Beautiful neighborhood, and also the road is nice. Lots of stop signs, and most people that drive on Floyd are very aware of bikers, so it's really safe.
The latest plan from City Council calls for the bike boulevard to start at Laurel Street on VCU's campus and stretch west down Floyd about 2 miles to Thompson Street. Cyclists and cars will encounter 11 traffic circles, 3 bump outs, and no stop signs. The idea behind this is to slow down traffic, making it safer for bicyclists.
With the introduction of bump outs, parking in areas like these here on Floyd Avenue, which is considered illegal, will soon be taken away. However, city officials have stressed that no legal parking will be taken from Floyd Avenue.
It's the soon-to-be eliminated parking, on top of the already limited parking, that has some residents worried in the neighborhood. Fan District resident Charlie Deardor says it's an issue that has to be taken into serious consideration.
Look, I understand that we need safe means of travel for these bicyclists, but I think there's a middle ground, and I think this is not it.
5th District Councilman Parker Agelasto, a resident of Floyd Street, has hopes the bicycle boulevard will encourage residents to bike when visiting nearby Main and Carey streets.
So what we're hoping is that many more people will consider riding a bicycle when they're going out to dinner or when they're going to Carytown for a festival or something else, given the limited parking.
The project has a price tag of a little over $500,000. About $400,000 of that will come from the state. For VCU InSight, I'm Camel.
The final plan is expected to be passed through City Hall by late this month or early next month.
From Christianity to Judaism, representatives from different faiths gathered together at the Sacred Heart Cathedral in Richmond in late September. The event was a collaboration with the Universal Peace Foundation and was held in recognition of the International Day of Peace. The public was invited to come and listen to the discussion held by a panel of religious leaders. The discussion was aimed at improving communication among different faith communities and to help greater community unity amongst them. This was the first time an event like this has ever been held at the Sacred Heart Cathedral. Imagine playing online video games and all of a sudden having a SWAT team burst into your house. It's called swatting. And while not everyday occurrence, it is growing in the online gaming community. According to the Washington Post, the prank has even popped up in some cities in Virginia. InSight's Megan Simpson reports.
What you're seeing is a Colorado man playing live online video games. What's really about to happen is a prank called swatting. The gamer, also known as Kutra online, has just been swatted. People who set up swats, or hackers, target gamers like Kutra while they are recorded live for other gamers to see. VCU student and online gamer Jesse Yu says it can be a random target or not.
It could be like a personal matter, and people just could prank it on people they know.
Hackers are able to make bogus phone calls to police stations with a false report of a critical situation. This will alert dispatchers to send out all police units and the SWAT team fully armed. Although there have been swatting cases in Virginia, Richmond FBI officials say they have not had any reports of swatting in the city or surrounding counties. But for the cases that are ongoing, computer science PhD candidate David Jackson says tracing a hacker can be difficult.
The police or detectives would have to go talk to Facebook to figure out where this person logged in from. He could have logged in from China, from Africa, from Europe, Russia.
But Jesse Yu says, despite the risk, this is no game changer for the gaming community. For VCU InSight, I'm Megan Simpson.
According to LA Weekly News, swatting began as a Hollywood hoax. Celebrities were among the first to get swatted in 2012, including Canadian pop singer Justin Bieber.
When you can do just about anything else related to music, why not create your own genre as well? A local trumpeter uses audience suggestions and interaction in combination with improvisation to create a new way of telling stories through music. His new genre is called Improvistory. InSight's Will Gilbert is in the studio with him right now.
I'm in the studio with trumpeter and Improvistory creator Victor Haskins. Victor, thank you for being here this morning.
Oh, thanks for having me.
So Improvistory, can you tell me a little bit about it and what your inspiration was?
Improvistory is a new genre of music that I created which mixes elements of storytelling, musical improvisation, and audience interaction to create really unique musical experiences. So what I do in an Improvistory performance is I take audience suggestions of just about anything as inspiration for completely improvised pieces that I make up on the spot.
Right. Okay. We have some video of you at a recent show at Balasso. Let's take a listen.
Yeah.
So Victor, can you tell me what's going through your head when somebody in the audience gives you a suggestion for a song?
Well, when they give me a suggestion, I try to figure out how I'm going to express that idea through music, because they're giving me non-musical input and I have to sort of convert it into a musical extemporization of what they just told me. And so I have to, not only am I trying to create the representation of what they said, but I have to create a musical piece, a story out of that that connects everything. So it's almost like I'm creating the soundtrack to a film that you kind of have to see in your head based on what you're hearing.
Interesting. So as far as I understand, you work as the director of the Jazz Outreach Program at the Kennedy Center for the Performing Arts in DC. What sort of work do you do for that program?
So basically the Kennedy Center has a variety of different outreach ensembles, and I lead the first jazz outreach ensemble they've ever had. And so I wrote this program called Speaking of Jazz, and it is a presentation / performance demonstration that my group does where we introduce elementary school kids to jazz music through the context of communication. So instead of it being a history lesson where it's like this style was here and then this style came from that style and then this development, which is kind of academic, we talk about jazz through and demonstrate jazz music through the context of communication. So we cover a lot of different aspects of the music, and we really get the kids interactively involved, and so it's a really fun presentation to get them to realize, oh, jazz is relevant, because a lot of people have a lot of stereotypes about jazz that kind of makes them go, oh, I don't like that because it's old or it's boring. It's not at all, not when it's done well. So,
do you use improvisatory with this program?
I don't do improvisatory with this program. Improvisatory is more of a recent development, but the jazz outreach program started back in January. So
great. So I guess for the future, how do you continue, or how are you planning to continue to outreach and spread the word of improvisatory?
Just trying to do performances in as many different kinds of places as possible, because improvisatory, like I said, it's its own genre of music. It kind of takes elements from all other different styles and genres of music, because any given piece will have to express a variety of different scenes and stories and different storylines. So I know I'm speaking at TEDx VCU on November 15th.
Yeah, sounds great. Wonderful. So I've been speaking with trumpeter and improvisatory creator Victor Haskins. Victor, thank you for being here.
Thanks, man.
Thanks, Will. VCU men's soccer has one of the toughest schedules in the A10. They have played 6 of the top 20 teams in the nation. Most recently, they battled 20th-ranked George Mason to a 3-0 victory. Starting midfielder Mario Herrera says that the team is battle-tested and feels confident as conference plays heats up. The team next plays at home against Fordham on October 17th and LaSalle on October 19th.
There are more ways than ever for parents to keep up with their children. While teens may not like it, with the touch of a screen, parents can tell their children's location, call logs, and even how fast they're driving. Miranda Pine is a mother of 2 teenage sons. Finding it hard to keep tabs on their children, she and their father decided to install phone tracking.
He felt as though we got tired of calling my son's phone and he wouldn't pick up, or his phone would be dead. And just us knowing that you're okay. It was just a sense of security knowing that he was okay.
Apps such as Life 360 and Mama Bear are available on the Android and iPhone markets. These apps allow for parents to check their child's news, monitor their social media, and even find out their child's exact location. According to Time.com, one researcher estimates more than 70 million people in North America and Europe will be using family phone tracking by 2016. Virginia Commonwealth University Police Chief John Venuti is a parent of 3 children. However, as a police officer, he understands that there's a fine line of trust.
I think as a police officer, it's a whole different situation, because obviously there's the balance of privacy and how that balances against community safety. And really, people have a right, to safeguard their privacy.
Most parental tracking apps through the Android and iPhone offer a free trial. And after the trial, parents can buy the apps from anywhere between $5 to $10 per month.
The LEGO Kids Fest returned for a second go-round, a successful run last year. A life-size Lightning McQueen, Woody, and Buzz Lightyear were amongst the gigantic sculptures that filled the Richmond Convention Center, all made from Lego bricks. The event involved everything from a giant Lego art wall, a U.S. map filled with buildings made from Lego blocks, and even lessons on how to become a master of Lego building. The weekend event sold out all 3 days as Lego lovers from all over traveled to build everything from robots to princess castles. Richmond is one out of 7 cities that host the LEGO Kids Fest tour in the U.S. LEGO lovers from toddlers to teens took part in making LEGO creations.
Richmond's Folk Festival is here again. The festival has attracted thousands to the downtown Richmond riverfront and is hoping to continue the tradition this weekend from October 10th through the 12th. Now, admission is free. There are also shuttles from Spring Rock Green and Anthem Blue Cross Blue Shield. Visit their website for more details at www.richmondfolkfestival.org.
A camel was a star on the VCU campus last week when VCU hosted Qatar Day at the Commons Plaza. Qatar Day is a program to give students and faculty a chance to learn more about VCU's Qatar campus. After being greeted by the camel, students could participate in various activities like intricate henna designs and a spread of Arabic food. VCU students from Qatar were writing names in Arabic, and students were even trying to various traditional clothing. VCU has a satellite campus in the country of Qatar.
And finally tonight, imagine moving thousands of miles away from your home and family to study in an unfamiliar place.
That's what international students experience each year, but our program at VCU offers students a way to find a home away from home. InSight's Erica Rivas has more on the story.
Meet couples David and Heather Wood and Hung and Tuye Win. This may look like a normal Sunday stroll in the park, but it's not, because these couples are practically strangers. Hung and his wife moved to Richmond from Vietnam in August so Hung could complete a 5-year PhD program at VCU.
We came here with actually with nothing.
They met the Woods through the university's Friendship, Family, and Cultural Exchange program, also known as VCU for Face.
I thought that if a family accepted to do things with me, to participate in the program, they must be a good person.
The program matches international students with families that have volunteered to open their homes and lives to them. Program coordinator Elizabeth Hyatt tells us it's not something new, but that this year it's being reorganized to have more structure and to better serve the students and volunteers.
We want them to experience what American family life could potentially be.
After being matched, families and students are asked to get together at least once a month. They can go to dinner, to baseball games, to festivals, or just a simple walk in the park. This is the first time the Woods have taken part of the program. Heather says she's happy with the match.
I'm so glad that VCU has this program because it just makes it easy for us to meet people like this that we otherwise, how would we meet them?
While his wife doesn't speak much English, Hung agrees and says they're glad they got involved.
Yes, of course, we're happy with that.
So happy are the couples that they plan to continue sharing outings like this one for as long as they can. For VCU InSight, I'm Erica Rivas.
Right now, there are almost 70 international students taking part in the program. More than 50 Richmonders have offered to show the city of Richmond an American life. If you're interested in volunteering, you can go online or stop by the Global Education offices on the VCU's campus. Wow, Brian, I would love to go overseas and visit families over there.
Most definitely. I would love to learn more about their culture and eat some of that good food.
I know, you're making me hungry.
So does that mean you're treating after this?
I'll think about it.
Okay, well that's it for this edition of VCU InSight. Make sure to check out our website at insight.vcu.edu.
You can also follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook under VCU InSight. Contact us with any stories you'd like to see on our show.
And if you missed our show or would like to watch again, you can find us on YouTube at VCU InSight.
Thanks for tuning in. I'm Michelle Green.
And I'm Brian Coles. We'll see you next time.